Hi, this is Mr. Hood, and we're going to solve a one-step equation with a fractional coefficient using multiplication. First step first. Let's draw a vertical line through the equal sign and a horizontal line underneath. Now, as with all equations, we want to get the variable x by itself. So in order to do that, let's take a look at actually what's happening to x right now. Well, what's happening to x right now is that it's being multiplied by a positive 2/3. So to get rid of that positive 2/3, we're going to multiply by the inverse. In math, we have a special name for the inverse of a fraction, and it's called a reciprocal, which is really just a fancy name for a flipped fraction. So to get rid of that positive 2/3 coefficient, we're going to multiply by its reciprocal, which is positive 3/2. On the left-hand side, there's a 3 in the numerator and a 3 in the denominator, and a 2 in the numerator and a 2 in the denominator. So those are all going to cancel, leaving x alone. Now let's do some math on the other side. Of course, when you multiply fractions, it's numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, and then if possible, simplify. So the solution we've come up with is that x equals 15. Well, is that correct? I don't know. Let's check. So in order to check, we're going to rewrite the original equation, but we're going to substitute in the value of 15 for x. Now it's time to do some math. On the left-hand side, we end up with 10, and on the right-hand side, we had 10, so it looks like the solution checks out. Now, underneath, there's one more example of this type of equation, but in this case, our fractional coefficient is negative. The good news is the technique won't change. So step one, after we've drawn the vertical line and the horizontal lines, we have to examine what's happening to x. Well, what's happening to x is that it's being multiplied by negative 1/2. So to get rid of that negative 1/2, we are going to multiply by its reciprocal. Well, the reciprocal of negative 1/2 is negative 2/1. And of course, what you do to one side, you got to do to the other. The 2's in the numerator and denominator, and the 1's in the numerator and denominator will cancel, leaving x alone. And now to multiply the fractions on the right, we're going to multiply our numerator times denominator, denominator times denominator, and then simplify. And the solution that we will get is that x equals negative 40.